The studio lights burned hot, casting a golden glow across the set of the Kelly Clarkson Show. The audience buzzed with anticipation, their murmurs blending into a low hum beneath the polished stage. Kelly, dressed in a sharp blazer and jeans, leaned forward in her chair, her trademark grin lighting up her face as she introduced her guest. Blake Shelton, country music's larger-than-life star, strode out with his easy swagger, a denim jacket slung over a black tee, his boots clicking against the floor. The crowd erupted into cheers and whistles as he waved, his dimpled smile masking the faint tension in his jaw. Kelly stood to hug him, her warmth genuine, but there was a flicker in her eyes, a spark that hinted at something more than the usual friendly banter. They settled into their seats, the set designed to feel like a cozy living room, complete with plush armchairs and a coffee table stacked with magazines. Kelly launched into her opening, her voice bright but pointed, teasing Blake about his latest album. "So Blake, this new record's got folks talking. Some say it's a departure, maybe too polished for your roots. What's the deal? You going pop on us?" The audience laughed, but Blake's smile tightened. His fingers tapped against the armrest as he leaned back, crossing one leg over the other. "Kelly, you know I don't chase trends," he said lightly. "I make music that feels right, and if folks don't get it, that's their problem." His tone was casual, but the edge underneath was unmistakable, a warning wrapped in charm. Kelly, never one to back down, tilted her head, her eyes narrowing slightly. "Oh, come on. Don't get all defensive. I'm just saying some of your diehard fans are wondering if you're still that Oklahoma boy, or if Hollywood's got you now." The crowd reacted with a collective, "ooh," sensing the shift in tone. Blake's laugh was sharp, more bark than warmth. "Hollywood? Kelly, I'm still hauling hay bales in my head. You're the one with the fancy talk show set, Miss Big City." The jab landed, drawing laughter from the audience, but Kelly's smile didn't falter. She leaned in closer, her voice playful but pointed. "Careful, Shelton. You're sounding like you've got something to prove." What had started as friendly banter now carried an unmistakable weight. Kelly decided to pivot, steering the conversation toward Blake's personal life. A risky move. "So you and Gwen, you two are basically music royalty now, right? But I hear you're dodging questions about the future. What's up with that?" Blake's face hardened, his easy grin disappearing. He shifted in his seat, his tone lower, more controlled. "Not everything's for public consumption, Kelly. Some things are private, you know." The audience quieted, the tension in the air thick enough to cut. Kelly, sensing the drop in energy, tried to lighten things up. "Oh, come on. We're just chatting. Fans want to know what's next for Blake Shelton. The man, not just the singer." Blake's eyes locked on hers, the space between them charged. "You want to know what's next? How about I keep doing what I do, and folks stop trying to dissect my life like it's a gossip column?" The words hung heavy in the air, and for a moment, Kelly's bright smile faltered. She quickly recovered, tossing her hair back with a laugh. All right. Let's take a breather. We'll be right back after the break. Folks." The cameras cut and the audience clapped on cue, but Blake's jaw was tight, his hands clenched on the armrests. As the stage crew bustled about, resetting for the next segment, Kelly leaned over, her voice low. "You okay, Blake?" That got a little intense. He didn't look at her. "I'm fine. Just don't push me like that," he muttered. The stage manager called for places and the lights flared back up, but the air between them stayed thick with tension. When the show resumed, the audience's applause filled the air, a forced cheer that did little to mask the unease. Kelly leaned forward, her smile bright but strained. "Welcome back, everyone. We're still here with Blake Shelton, and we're gonna have some fun now, right, Blake?" Her eyes searched his face for any sign that he was ready to move on. Blake nodded, his smile thin and practiced. "Sure thing, Kelly. Let's do this." Trying to lighten the mood, Kelly pulled out a stack of cards for a game segment. "All right, we've got this little game called Country Confessions, where Blake's got to answer some fan questions, rapid fire style. You ready?" she asked, her grin playful but cautious as if stepping onto thin ice. Blake leaned back, crossing his arms. "Hit me with it. I ain't scared." The crowd chuckled, though the laughter sounded hollow. Everyone was waiting to see if the tension would flare again. Kelly read the first card, her tone upbeat. "Favorite guilty pleasure song you're listening to right now? And don't say one of your own." Blake smirked, finally relaxing a little. "Easy. Springsteen's Dancing in the Dark gets me every time." The audience clapped and Kelly nodded. Solid choice. Okay, next one. Biggest pet peeve on tour? Blake's eyes narrowed. He paused, his voice dropping just enough for the tension to creep back in. People who think they know what it's like to live my life, asking questions they got no business asking. The silence that followed said it all. The jab wasn't subtle, and the crowd's murmurs grew louder. Kelly's smile flickered for a brief moment, but she pressed on, flipping to the next card in an attempt to steer the energy back on track. All right, let's keep it moving. If you could swap lives with another artist for a day, who'd it be? She asked, her tone light. Blake didn't hesitate. Nobody. I'm good being me. His voice was sharp, almost defiant. Kelly laughed, but it came out too quickly, too forced. Come on, not even for a day? What about, say, Dolly Parton? She's got that charm, that empire. Blake's jaw tightened as he leaned forward, his tone dropping low, words precise and cutting. Kelly, I don't need to be anybody else. Maybe some folks should try being themselves instead of digging into other people's lives. The audience gasped, a few whispers rippling through the room. Kelly's face flushed, but she kept her composure, tossing the stack of cards onto the table with a forced chuckle. Okay, Mr. Serious, let's switch gears. How about we talk about your new single? Tell us what inspired it. Her tone was breezy, but her eyes betrayed a flicker of irritation. The shift was meant to diffuse the tension, but Blake wasn't ready to let it go. He leaned back in his chair, his gaze fixed on Kelly. You want to know about inspiration? He said slowly. It's about real life. Real struggles. Not the stuff tabloids or talk shows try to spin into drama. The audience went quiet again, the unease palpable. Kelly's smile vanished. Her hands clasped tightly in her lap as she answered. Blake, I'm just doing my job here, giving fans what they love. You don't have to come at me like that. Her voice was calm but firm, the steel beneath her southern charm unmistakable. Blake scoffed and shook his head. Your job feels more like a setup to me. The crowd stirred, some clapping nervously, others whispering to one another as the stage manager motioned for a wrap. But the cameras kept rolling, capturing every second of the standoff. Kelly's eyes flashed with something between hurt and frustration, while Blake's stare didn't waver, his jaw clenched and eyes cold beneath the glare of the studio lights. The air felt charged, heavy, the kind of silence that comes before a storm. Kelly leaned forward, her voice steady but edged with defiance. A setup? Blake, come on. You know me better than that. This show's about having fun, connecting with fans, not throwing punches. Her words were measured, but the hurt in her eyes was real, a flicker of betrayal that the cameras caught in a lingering close-up. Blake's jaw twitched as his fingers drummed against the armrest, betraying the effort it took to stay calm. Fun's one thing, he said quietly. You digging where you don't belong. That's another. The audience reacted audibly now, a mix of gasps and whispers rippling through the rows. Kelly's producer gestured frantically from offstage, urging the stage manager to cut to commercial, but Kelly ignored them. Her focus stayed locked on Blake. I'm not digging, Blake, she said, her tone firm. I'm asking questions fans care about. Questions you've answered 100 times before. What's got you so wound up today? Beneath the firmness, there was a note of genuine concern, a plea to reach the friend she'd known for years. Blake's expression flickered briefly, but then he leaned forward, his voice rising just enough to carry. Maybe I'm tired of the same old script, Kelly. Tired of people thinking they're entitled to every piece of me. The studio went dead silent. Every eye was on him. Kelly's expression tightened, her trademark smile gone for good. She set the stack of cards aside, abandoning the segment completely. All right, let's be real then, she said. You're acting like I'm the enemy here, but I'm just doing what I do, same as you. If you've got something to say, just say it. Her voice wavered slightly, not from weakness, but from the sheer strain of holding her composure. Blake let out a bitter laugh, more of a scoff than amusement. You want real? Fine. Real is me showing up here thinking we're going to have a good time and instead getting grilled like I'm on trial. You want to talk music? Talk music. Leave the rest alone. The crowd erupted in a mix of cheers and uneasy murmurs, some impressed by Blake's raw honesty, others visibly uncomfortable at the public unraveling. Kelly's eyes widened, but she didn't flinch. Grilled? She repeated. Blake, I asked about your album, your tour, your life. That's what this show is. If you didn't want to talk, why'd you come? Her tone was sharp now, her patience gone. The gloves were off Blake's. The stage manager rushed over, headset askew, muttering about damage control while the producer paced near the control booth, barking orders into a walkie-talkie. Kelly's eyes stayed fixed on the spot where Blake had vanished, her jaw tight as if replaying the moment he'd walked out. The crew scrambled to reset the set, but the air felt heavy, the usual post-segment bustle replaced by a nervous tension. Backstage, Blake was a shadow moving through the dim corridors, his boots echoing against the concrete floor. He shoved open a side door to the green room, ignoring the startled assistant who jumped up from a couch clutching a clipboard. "You okay, Mr. Shelton?" She ventured softly, but he waved her off, his voice gruff. "Just need a minute." He sank into a chair, running a hand through his hair as his breath came uneven. The green room was quiet, a stark contrast to the chaos outside, its muted walls and cluttered table of half-eaten snacks offering no comfort. His phone buzzed in his pocket, but he ignored it. His thoughts raced. He hadn't planned to lose it out there, hadn't meant for a friendly chat to turn into a public feud, but Kelly's questions had hit a nerve, one too raw to ignore. On set, the commercial break ended, and the cameras swung back to Kelly, who forced a smile, her voice steady but strained. "Welcome back, folks. Well, that was unexpected, but we're going to keep the show rolling." The audience clapped, hesitant, unsure. Kelly leaned forward, clasping her hands, and pivoted to a new segment, introducing a musical guest with her usual charm. Yet her eyes darted to the wings as if expecting Blake to reappear and laugh it off like old times. He didn't. The crew moved on to fill the airtime, but Blake's absence hung over the set and a ghost in the room. Social media was already lighting up, audience members tweeting snippets of the clash, clips spreading like wildfire. In the green room, Blake finally checked his phone. The screen glowed with notifications, texts from his team, a missed call from Gwen, and a flood of mentions online. Fans and critics alike were already dissecting the moment. He scrolled through a few headlines. Blake Shelton's meltdown on Clarkson's show. His jaw tightened. He tossed the phone onto the table, muttering under his breath. The assistant hovered nearby, unsure whether to speak. "You want me to get someone?" "Your manager?" she asked cautiously. Blake shook his head. "Just tell him I'm out. I ain't going back out there." She nodded and slipped out, leaving him alone with the hum of the air conditioner and his thoughts. Back on set, Kelly wrapped the segment with a brighter smile that didn't reach her eyes. As the cameras cut for another break, she brushed past the crew heading backstage. The producer caught her arm, his voice low. "Kelly, we need to talk about how to spin this. It's blowing up online." "I don't care about spin right now," she snapped. "I need to talk to Blake." She moved toward the green room, her steps quick and determined, the weight of their friendship and the public fallout pushing her forward. The studio's chaos faded behind her as she pushed open the green room door. Her silhouette filled the doorway, sharp against the bright hallway light. Blake looked up from where he sat slouched in the chair, his phone idle on the table. The room smelled of coffee and leftover catering, but the real heaviness came from the silence between them. Kelly closed the door, shutting out the distant hum of the crew. Her blazer was rumpled, her face a mix of resolve and exhaustion. She didn't sit and just crossed her arms, locking eyes with him. "You didn't have to walk out like that," she said, her voice low but firm. "You made it a spectacle." Blake met her gaze, his eyes hard but flickering with something softer, maybe regret. He leaned forward, elbows on his knees. "You pushed me, Kelly. You kept digging. I told you to stop. What did you expect?" His words weren't loud, but they carried that same raw edge from the stage, frustration mixed with something unspoken. Kelly took a step closer, her hands falling to her sides. "I expected you to talk to me, not turn it into a showdown in front of a live audience. We're friends, Blake, or at least I thought we were." Her voice wavered slightly, not from weakness but from the sting of betrayal, the public unraveling of a bond she'd trusted. Blake stood, his height filling the small room. "Friends don't put friends on the spot like that. You know what I've been dealing with, the noise, the rumors. You didn't have to lean into it." He paced a step, boots scuffing the floor. "I came here to talk music, to have a good time, not to get my life picked apart." Kelly's eyes narrowed, her tone rising. "I wasn't picking you apart. I asked about your album, your tour, stuff you've always talked about. You're the one who turned it into a fight. What's going on with you? This isn't just about me. The question hung between them, heavy and unanswered. Blake's hands clenched, then slowly relaxed. His shoulders sagged. It's everything, he admitted quietly, almost reluctant, the tension finally cracking through his pride. The press, the fans, the constant questions about me and Gwen, about what's next, like I owe everybody an answer. I'm tired, Kelly. Tired of being a headline. Blake's voice broke the tension, raw and unguarded. His honesty caught Kelly off guard, softening the anger etched across her face. For a moment she saw not the defensive guest who had stormed off her set, but the friend who'd shared laughs, long talks, and tour memories over the years. I get that, she said gently. But you can't just shut down and lash out. Especially not at me. I'm not the enemy here. Blake looked away, his eyes tracing the edge of the table. Didn't mean to make you the enemy, he muttered. But out there it felt like you were coming for me. Like everybody else. Kelly shook her head and stepped closer, her voice steady but urgent. I wasn't. I was trying to do my job and keep the show moving, give the fans something real. If I crossed a line, I'm sorry. But you walking out? That hurt, Blake, not just the show. Me. Her words landed hard, cutting through the silence. Blake's gaze snapped back to her, a flicker of guilt crossing his face. The room felt smaller now, heavy with years of shared history and the raw edge of truth. Outside, the assistant hovered by the door, eavesdropping unintentionally, her clipboard forgotten. The producer's voice crackled through her headset, urging her to get Kelly back on set. But she hesitated, sensing something more important unfolding behind that door. Kelly took a slow breath, her eyes searching Blake's. You gonna come back out there? Finish the show? Blake didn't answer right away. His hands stayed buried in his pockets, his silence stretching as the studio clock ticked closer to the next segment. The green room felt suspended in time, the only sound the faint hum of the studio beyond. Finally he sighed, his shoulders shifting as he looked up. I don't know, Kelly, he said, his tone stripped of defensiveness. I didn't come here to blow things up. But going back out there, acting like nothing happened? That ain't me. Kelly nodded, pressing her lips together. I get it, she said quietly. But walking away doesn't fix this, and not for you, not for me, not for the fans who just watched it happen. You don't owe the world your whole life, Blake. But you showed up today. That still means something. Her words lingered in the air, soft but firm, a reminder of their unspoken bond built over years of friendship and shared spotlight. Blake's eyes flickered with conflict, guilt giving way to a quiet resolve. Outside, the assistant shifted nervously, her headset buzzing with the producer's impatient voice. She knocked lightly. Miss Clarkson? We're back in 2 minutes. Kelly glanced at the door, then back at Blake. Your call, she said simply, turning to leave but pausing in the doorway, giving him one last chance to decide. Blake ran a hand over his face, his boots scuffing the floor. All right, he muttered finally. Let's do this. But no more games, Kelly. Just music. A faint smile broke across Kelly's face, tired but genuine. Just music, she agreed, opening the door and leading the way back to the set. As they stepped into the bright studio lights, the audience's applause started hesitantly, then swelled as Blake followed her to the stage. Whispers rippled through the crowd. Phones lifted, ready to capture the moment that was already buzzing online. Kelly took her seat, her smile professional but warmer now. Blake sat beside her, posture loose but guarded. The cameras rolled. Welcome back, y'all, Kelly said, her voice calm and composed. We've had a real moment here today, but we're keeping it moving with Blake Shelton. Who's going to tell us about his new single? She shot him a look, a silent truce. Blake nodded, his voice gruff but sincere. Yeah, let's talk music. This song's about roots and about holding on to what matters. Wrote it after a long night on the road. Just me and a guitar. The segment flowed smoothly this time. The tension between them melted into something honest as Blake spoke about his new song, his Oklahoma upbringing, and the quiet moments that inspired him. Kelly listened intently, her questions thoughtful, steering clear of the personal landmines that had set off their earlier clash. The audience leaned in, drawn to the authenticity, two friends finding their rhythm again, live and unfiltered. When Blake finished, Kelly smiled. That's why we love you, Blake. You keep it real. He chuckled softly, a sound that cracked through the tension. Trying to, Kelly, trying to. The show wrapped with Blake's live performance. His voice filled the studio, rich, steady, and raw, while the crowd swayed to the rhythm. Kelly stood off stage, arms crossed, but her expression soft, the weight of the day easing into quiet reflection as the final notes faded. The audience roared. Blake waved, smiling, genuine but tired, before slipping backstage once more. Kelly returned to the stage for her closing remarks, her tone bright but tinged with emotion. Thanks for being here, y'all. Life's messy, but we keep showing up. See you next time. The lights dimmed, the cameras cut, and though their clash had already gone viral, what lingered wasn't scandal, it was something real. Two friends, raw and imperfect, finding their way back to understanding under the brightest lights.